Welcome home. Alright, so in a recent GameSpot interview with Pete Hines, they touched on the subject of the lore and timeline conflicts in Fallout 76. I feel like this information is very important for people to hear, so if you could, please share this video around with anyone that you think is worrying about the lore conflicts in Fallout 76. There are only a couple lore conflicts that we know of right now, such as the Super Mutants and the Brotherhood of Steel being present in some form, which some people are getting extremely upset about. So here is what GameSpot asked Pete Hines. Another thing that's interesting about 76 is that it's the earliest Fallout game in the series. Despite this, we're still seeing some familiar factions and enemies which may conflict with what people already expect. Did you feel that a more loose approach with the timeline had to be taken in order to keep those familiar aspects of the game intact? Here is how Pete Hines responded. I don't know if I would say loose, but I would say that our developers take things like lore and canon seriously, and if they're going to do something, they're going to make sure that there's a real reason for it. We have proven with the Elder Scrolls games that in places where some things happen one way, that we're willing to say, well, lots of people will say things happen one way, and the opposite or something else could entirely be true. So there's no question that we've gone back to change things to fit what developers have wanted to do, and not to be held to something that somebody wrote 20 years ago. But having said that, we don't take it lightly to just go change whatever we want. There has to be a thought process. What is the rationale? Why would this logically work in this time? Why would there be super mutants or the Brotherhood of Steel? How does that all fit and hold together? There's absolutely reasons and explanations in Fallout 76 for how all that ties together. So that's our confirmation that Bethesda is doing the lore some justice by having an explanation for why there are super mutants and the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 76, which may not make sense to us now, but we'll get to learn the explanation for everything that went down during our exploration in Appalachia. Pete Hines also had some very good points during his statement. They will do their best to not go and change whatever they want, but at some points they do have to go ahead and fit what developers have wanted to do and not be held to something that somebody wrote 20 years ago. Fallout 1 came out in 1997, so they can't always limit themselves to the restrictions set back when they didn't even have the license to the franchise. Obviously, they still have to be reasonable on what they change, but we'll actually have to wait for the game to see if they do the lore lovers some true justice with their explanation. So yes, they're going to include super mutants and the Brotherhood of Steel, but they have a reason for it and are going to explain it within the game itself. Fallout 76 is seeming to have a strong backstory about what happened in Appalachia before we were released from Vault 76. Something to likely do with the Scorched disease. The Brotherhood's involvement could have been something as simple as preventing the disease from spreading across the US, and they didn't want other people to know about it. Another really good point that Pete Hines made is that just because something is said by someone or written somewhere in a previous game, that doesn't always mean it's fact. There's a level of flexibility there in the lore. People lie, people make up stories, and some people just don't have all the information of what's truly going on across the entire United States. It is a big country after all, and knowing everything that's going down in the entire country, well, I don't think one person is going to give you that information. So what they know may mislead you into thinking something is the case, when in fact, that isn't the full story. For now, all we know is that West Virginia will contain many secrets, but we'll have to wait until Reclamation Day to begin learning more about the past events in Appalachia. Let me know your thoughts on Pete Hines' response to the Fallout 76 lore and timeline conflicts. Is it the answer you were looking for? Let me know down in the comments section below. Also, be sure to hit that bell icon to stay updated on the latest and greatest Fallout 76 news, discussion, speculation, and more. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please smack that like button down below and subscribe to join the good fight if you haven't already. It'd be super greatly appreciated as always. And until next time, this is Epoxy, signing off.